I'm Tom, and we are going to see on the weekend Itauma versus Dillian Whyte. And the question is this a breakout fight or a career gamble? Because let's have it right. At the moment, Itauma is all the rage. Everyone's talking about him, comparing him to a young Mike Tyson, saying he's the next best thing, and he's going to be this, he's going to be that. And look, I agree. I'm actually one of the people saying the same things. Where I fall short, though, is saying that he's ready to take on an Alexander Usyk, a Tyson Fury, an Anthony Joshua, a Joseph Parker, Daniel Dubois. If we're honest, Itauma has not even fought a top 50 heavyweight, let alone top 20, let alone top 10. He's not ready to take on who is, in my opinion, the best fighter there's ever been in Alexander Usyk. He's not even ready for an AJ or a Fury. But what we're going to see is him take on who's perhaps being overrated in Dillian Whyte. Because if we're honest about it, Dillian Whyte's not a top 20 fighter. Dillian Whyte's probably not even a top 20 fighter. He's top 30 maybe, but I wouldn't have him top 10, top 15, top 20. Maybe is an argument for top 20, 25. But what he does is encapsulate the casual audience, and a lot of people will think that he is a top 20. A lot of people think that he is a top 30, top 15, top 10. Even if you're a casual fan, you'll know who Dillian Whyte is. Fought Fury, Chisora, AJ. Who doesn't remember the AJ fight? And they'll think that. And what that is brilliant matchmaking from Frank Warren, as we always see it, because he has picked he has picked Dillian Whyte, knowing how this matchup works, and knowing that actually it's going to get put on pay-per-view. It's going to encapsulate the casual audience. So in my opinion, it's actually brilliant matchmaking and what will be somewhat of a breakout fight. Because if he goes in there and starts as him inside 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, everyone's going to be like, oh, okay, and put it on notice. Now, as I say, Itauma is an undefeated prospect at the moment. He's all the rage, he's powerful, super, super quick, fantastic footwork, southpaw, power, like moving backwards with his lead hand. He's unbelievable. He's really coming to age as well, maturing nicely as a fighter, not rushing his work and getting through things properly. And you've got Dillian Whyte, who is faded, but a former world title challenger. That's what he is. He's got the experience. He's a 37-year-old man who's got the old man kind of experience in the ring, which people are saying he's an old man, and Dillian Whyte's obviously making a point of it. But in reality, in terms of boxing, he is, in terms of boxing, 37, especially as a heavyweight, versus 20, that's worlds apart. And that's what's important here. And that's what experience Dillian Whyte has against Itauma. And there's a lot being made about the fact that Dillian Whyte's in shape. Quite frankly, who the fuck cares? I just don't understand that. Dillian Whyte's in shape, so therefore now he's going to do this. No. Let's not just rewrite history and just forget what's happened in Dillian Whyte's past few fights. Okay, he's now in shape, so he might be marginally better. But the fact of the matter is, look what Tyson Fury does when he shows up not in shape. He still beats guys quite comfortably. Dillian Whyte looked awful. Aged, past it, throwing ones and twos. Slow, no power. That's what he looked like in his past few fights. Getting in shape isn't going to just reverse all those wrongs. And people making all this big deal about the fact, oh, well, he's in shape now. So the thing is, there's just so much unknown about Itauma. What happens if Dillian Whyte does bring him deep? What happens if Dillian Whyte can stand up to his power and absorb the punches and actually land a couple on Itauma? How does Itauma react? So there's so much unknown about Itauma that Dillian Whyte can sort of help us find the answers to. But in reality, I think this is perfect matchmaking, because what you've got is a top 30 heavyweight, a top 25 arguably heavyweight, who his strengths play into Itauma's strengths. Not just his weaknesses. His weaknesses are that he's slow and Itauma's quick. His weaknesses is that he doesn't really throw combinations, and Itauma's movement's really good. His weaknesses is that he's got a really bad, weakness to the uppercut, and Itauma we've seen can throw a good uppercut. But also his strengths are that he's going to walk you down, and Itauma's a power puncher who can box off the back foot with quick feet and is quick. Do you know what I mean? His strengths are that he's going to throw overhand looping punches Itauma's going to see that coming. And again, he's quick. He's going to, you know what I mean? His weaknesses also play into Itauma's strengths. And then you've got Itauma's strengths play into his weaknesses, and Itauma's weaknesses don't play into his strengths. Do you know what I mean? It's just perfect matchmaking. So what we've got is a very big moment for British boxing, because what this represents is the passing of the torch, at least on a domestic standard. Dillian Whyte, who's from the same era as, you know, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, is now stepping in there with one of the young guys, Moses Itauma, you know, and if, when we all expect Dillian Whyte to lose this fight, that will be the passing of the torch from the generation that was in Dillian Whyte, Fury and AJ, into the generation that is with the likes of Moses Itauma and Leo Atang. So that's what this fight is kind of a passing of the torch, an ending of the generation of boxing. And it's really kind of sad in that sense, because it is that. It is, you know, it was a cannon fodder. No, it's just a passing of the torch. It's the nature of the beast, right? It happens time and time again. And this is that. And we're seeing the end of the AJ, the Fury, the Whyte era in the domestic scene. Look, Fury's not got much left. AJ's not got much left. Hopefully we see them fight, but that's not what it was. And this represents that. This represents, look at Itauma. Look at Leo Atang. Look at the up-and-comers and see what they bring. And that's why I think it's been very smartly match made, and I think it will be over inside 6. Look, Dillian Whyte's rough and ready, war-torn, got a chin. He's not going to fold. I reckon inside 6. Not 2 or 3 round blowout. Be surprised if it is. But inside 6, I reckon. He's just not going to be able to hang with it, with the speed and the power, if I'm honest with you. Maybe it was later. I don't think it's going to be earlier than 5. 5 or 6, maybe a bit later. Just because of Dillian Whyte, who he is, you know what I mean? But let's have it right. Absolute first and foremost, this fight should not be pay-per-view. People, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like, a comment, subscribe. I don't know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.